telling you the presenter could not unfortunately come, but the presentation is here. So I'd like to invite you to discuss the issue of inequalities and diversity in education. This is also another indicator of quality teaching. And we are going to skip some of the definitions, but because probably many of you have already some ideas on what is the meaning of educational inequality, so that we go directly to the main solutions that are suggested by our speaker. What could be possible solutions to address educational inequalities? First of all is the role of policy. The role of policy in getting inclusive education policy and guidelines, as well as policy and guidelines in equity. A second aspect is how to ensure that all teachers are qualified in using the technologies. This, the concept of educational inequalities regarding technologies is related to a current saying that says the future is already here, it is only badly distributed. Because there are some countries and some learning settings where you can find very top level use of ICT, but there are also in many places students that never have seen a cell phone or a computer. So we have very advanced learning systems and very advanced learning technologies on one hand, but also we have some places in the education systems where we do not have access to those technologies. So the discussion point our speaker wanted to make was how to correct this kind of imbalance. Okay, so he's inviting us to reflect on how we can develop competence of in the use of innovative technologies for all teachers in our countries. This is the challenge that we have ahead. Some examples, some concrete examples of strategies that he is suggesting, is one of them is to train teachers in design thinking methodology. Let's have a look at the graph. Usually, the teacher profession has made use of traditional methods, and but the discussion between among peers is one of the key solutions to achieve a more diverse way of doing education. So, design thinking is a methodology. We can use this methodology to put in place new results in our teaching. Second one, the issue of providing regular professional development. How can be done at the different scale levels in our countries, in our diverse countries, to provide regular professional development for all the teachers in using technologies? How can we get to them? And today we have had some ideas from our two presenters on how that can be done in a smart way. The third one has to do with how can we implement the use of artificial intelligence. How can we enhance learning not only through teachers' intervention but also through matching learning and how can we harness the power of collaboration through making our teachers participate in learning communities of practice to enhance their abilities and skills for using technologies. I'm sorry if I'm not doing justice to the presentation of our speaker, but just I'm wanting to share their ideas with you. One of the innovative technology solutions is the use of platforms. How can you use collaboration and networking platforms? This is an example he is giving us from his working place in Namibia, the Copano platform. The second example he is proposing us is using platforms for remedial work. How can platforms be used to support students with learning difficulties or those who live in disadvantaged communities? It is a usual situation in many of our countries that we have students that cannot be reached because they are far away or because they are slow in the process of learning. And so there is somehow this process by which they get stuck in some part of the education system. So these platforms can help them to move forward and to find a way to get ahead in the process of learning. So this is an example of using activities for remediation purposes. Another innovative technology solution he is proposing is the use of digital libraries. Moving physical books to the schools is an expensive issue because you have to transport books, you have to pay for them, and nowadays the technology allows you, if you have a tablet, for example, then you can have inside the tablet a renewable collection of textbooks whereby the students can see a lot of material in a very inexpensive way. The old idea of computer labs are a thing of the past. They maybe started existing in the 80s. And we have the idea that learning computing is about having a computer lab in the school. But probably this is not feasible for many schools and for many school systems. So how can we achieve the same result in a more dynamic way? So for example, these strategies, you can have a computer lab just by using renewable energy or with laptops or tablets that can be moved in the classroom. So you don't need a physical structure with physical PCs connected to a network. So we can improve now our use of computers in the classroom. A second issue that our speaker wanted to present to you is the idea of diversity. How do we deal with diverse groups with diverse skills and abilities? And he wanted to reflect with us that speaking about diversity is speaking about values. What do we value? How do we rate people given their skills and their contribution to society? He wanted to share some strategies that could be reflected upon on how to deal with diversity in the classroom. How can we promote diversity in the classroom? And I'll allow you to read them.
We prefer we share it.
And some more.
Ethnic background, redirect your role
How
in the
can a
classroom.
teacher create a good atmosphere for cultural diversity teaching? This is a very important point in terms of learning to live together. So how can we express interest in the ethnic background of our students? How can we reflect on our role in the classroom and how to maintain a level of sensitivity to language concerns? In many cases, we are having problems to reach our students because they don't speak the local language or they speak a different mother tongue. So how can we ensure that we are having our students engaged if they are not being taught in their own language? This is a key point to consider. I'd like to highlight the last point, the idea of an inclusive curriculum. We have been working with UNESCO in the concept of inclusive curriculum, and it's a part of the discussions in the diploma that APTA was presenting us. The idea that a curriculum has to be inclusive in a way that it can promote the different skills of all people, and not just concentrate on the kind of academic instruction or reaching some targets in specific subjects.